So where a lot of people get the names of their characters from various inspirations, right? Where did Tribinius Cantus come from? The name
Well,
Tribinius Cantus, because it has a very Athenian feel to it, or a very mythological Greek mythology.
so when I get stuck at names, I just hit some keys on the keyboard. And I just hit some keys on the keyboard, and out came
Well played.
something that I was able to morph into Tribinius. And then I was like, I don't really like Tribinius. I do like the name, but it sounds more like something that'd be in the Parthenon or something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
But can I do an abbreviation maybe? And Trib came to it. I'm like, Trib, I like that as a nickname, and I don't think I've heard of any characters that are like that. And then Cantus came as a derivation of what can I get that goes in sync with that. So Tribinius is 4 syllables, Cantus is 2. So you got a 4-2 pattern, and the last 2 syllables are the same. So it made it kind of so it would sync. And I try to keep that in mind when, even when I named my real life daughter. So humans or characters is how does the name sound and look like. And that's where it kind of came from. Is actually just hitting some random keys on the keyboard.
Yeah. Hey, what if it works, right?
And hello,
It's
Carlos.
stuck. Carlos,
Hey y'all, how are you guys doing?
how's it going? Don't
All
mind me.
right.
I'm just my tripod's been acting a little funky on me, so I'm just trying to
Oh, you're fine.
keep it all together. I couldn't
I'll
resist
pretend I have
having
a
you on,
tripod.
my friend.
Say what?
I couldn't resist having you on and hanging out.
Oh, no worries.
It's so
Happy to be
easy
here.
to just, do our own thing and try to help people where we can. But like when it comes to these types of events, I'm a big spotlight person. You know what I mean? I want, it's not just a fly by night, fly by the seat of your pants type of thing. There's a lot of work involved in stuff like this.
Yeah,
And
for
as
sure.
far as like, the entire narration process and the author process. So there's only 2 Fridays left. You know what I mean? So I wanted to get people live and talking about stuff and having it be
Absolutely.
a controlled environment. And so
And now you got a
I,
title, Carlos. The voice of
I,
Trib.
the
yeah.
voice of Trib has, have you, you haven't started it, right? It's not
Recording
in
yet? No, I
process.
haven't
No.
recorded. Done a little bit. Done the retail sample and some extra stuff for the Kickstarter.
I'm excited.
I've also done like some voice samples that I've sent to Sylas. Just nothing like professionally recorded, just on my phone, so we can. Because I'm really keen on hammering down the voices. I
Right.
want them to be as he envisions them. You know what I mean? That's
Does
important to
Trib,
me.
does Trib's voice come naturally, or is it very, very specific?
I mean,
Don't mind. I love
so
asking questions. You're going to hear 1,000 questions from me, my friend.
oh, no worries, no worries at all. I mean, when I did my audition, right? So I have like a quintessential, like I call it a teen protagonist voice, right? And Trib is like an offshoot of that. So like a little deeper, because it's not meant to be like a 12-year-old who smokes too many Marlboros.
Sure.
Because I'm not a falsetto. I don't have a falsetto, or a good one anyway. Because like I feel like my normal teenage protagonist voice is akin to Ash Ketchum, although Ash
Okay.
Ketchum was
Yeah.
voiced by a female. But if you understand my meaning with the kind of the raspiness or the bit of deepness that goes to it. But as far as Trib, I got the audition lines and I'm like, okay, so he's on the cusp of like what we recognize as adulthood, right? He's almost there. And obviously, like, without having read the book, I went with the idea of like someone who's going to be growing, obviously, because he's the main character, right? So I wanted to give him youthfulness and as well as like a level headedness, because it appeared that he was intelligent based off the script.
Sure.
Because I hadn't read any of the book yet. But Sylas was like, hey, I have an audition. And I was like, let's do it right now. And I'll do it tonight. You know what I mean? And so I remember, and that's kind of where I go to in my head every time I need to remember Trib's voice is I go, Mom, Dad. Like, I can't remember the rest of that line. But it's when he's talking to his parents about, I'm not ready to be the CEO of Ementhian Enterprises, but I think I am ready to be the heir or something like that.
Ooh, that's a good line.
And there's going to be a lot of variation to Trib, I think, based on his emotional state. You know what I mean? So I think Sai mentioned specifically to me that he has like his showman mode because he's a streamer. So there's the mode where he's like trying to be the showman, trying to be the presenter. And then there's going to be the scenes where he's not doing so hot. You know, and it's going to be kind of a wide variation. I guess my goal in voicing Trib and wanting to voice Trib properly, and let me know if this isn't in line with anything, Sylas, but I feel like by the end of this whole thing, right, that Trib is constantly bouncing back and forth between his own self a little bit. You know what I mean? Emotionally, he's like experiencing the ups and the downs. And not having, I'm hoping that the voice will be able to capture all of that. You know what I mean? I hope I can vary it enough to be able to capture all of that.
When I was looking at Trib's voice, I hear him as like full of energy, almost ready to have his voice squeak. Like if he gets too high, he'll like go that. Hey friends, are you in for another episode of Can't Stop the Trib? And that's not how my readers hear Trib's voice, which is funny. And where you came at, it was a 50-50. You gave it the energy, but you gave it the deeper voice that they were expecting of somebody who's 16. And I thought that was a good balance that we'd have that. It's more of that energy, and that comes to Jack Ann's question here. Do you feel like it would be hard to get into the headspace to perform for the more raw scenes? Because they are very intense.
Yeah, no, I don't think so, personally. I think it'll be very doable. It might take a little like mental preparation prior to. But I very much enjoy the acting part.
I was just going to ask, in your career and what you do you have to deal with those types of things often? Like some of those really raw things, like it.
I mean, I'm fairly
was it
new
hard at first, and now you're kind of more numb to it, and it's because it's.
Well, I mean,
maybe numb was the wrong word, but
mostly pulling from just life experience in general. I mean,
I'm
I'm newer to voice acting, but I've been neurodivergent my entire life and been masking my entire life.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Which I know a lot of people can relate to. But I mean, I think the key to acting, in my opinion, is not to be acting. So you have to get there. You have to dig deep sometimes, and that's what you have to do. And if you need to cry, you need to cry. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I think like being able to pull on that quickly is practice. That's all that is. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's awesome.
That's part of the fun of it, I think. You know, is in getting to portray characters, is getting into their mindset and feeling those feelings, because it just leads to an authentic performance. You know?
Just another mask to put on.
Very true. Yeah. Very true.
To anybody just coming in, we're just having a candid chat about Sylas's Ementhian book and Carlos narrating it and how much Marissa loves it. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, there we go. There we go.
There you go.
Book 1.
Yep.
Soon to be an audiobook. What we're trying to do is we're trying to get the community together and finance Sylas's Kickstarter 2 days after launch to completion in 1 day, 1 afternoon, and just, these are things that we like to do.
Absolutely.
I believe that, some of the things that we've been able to pull off over time by having those types of events has just been a little mind-blowing, and I would like to just add that to the list. And so, yeah, I'm all in. Just as long as you guys are cool dealing with my madness, then I'm all in. I know that you and I just started following each other recently, Carlos, so I really don't know. You said you're relatively new to this arena?
I'm relatively new to voice acting. It's been less than a year so far. I have one audiobook. I don't even know if it'd be classified as novella. What's the word count on a novella, Sylas?
Novella is 17,500 to 40,000 words.
Okay, yeah. So it's a novella. It's a horror novella that I have out on Audible right now. And that's my first dive into narration. Aside from that, I was doing mostly like little small indie projects, fan stuff, YouTube stuff, to try and wet my feet. But I did a workshop with a man named Nico Mana, who's a commercial voice actor mainly, but he's done some characters in video games and stuff. And I did a week-long workshop with him that he put on. That was super helpful. And I ended up having side conversations. I actually follow him on TikTok. He's not huge on TikTok, but ended up having some side conversations with him, and it was very validating because imposter syndrome, as I'm sure authors know, imposter syndrome is a thing. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
And so, yeah. So like, I'm like, when I was like 4 months in, I basically would go day job. I'm also like a father of 3 and a husband, so I'm super like, it's nonstop. You know what I mean? It never stops. And so I would go day job, like dinner, bedtime routine with my youngest, and then as soon as he was asleep, I'd dive into doing voice acting stuff.
Free time.
You know what I mean? Yeah, like I'm sacrificing sleep effectively. And in like the first 4 months, I think I had my website up. I'm also an engineer, so like audio engineer, so I produce my own demos, and that was like a big point of contention for me because everybody's like, get them professionally produced. Everything you see online is get them professionally produced. It's worth it. You don't want to show somebody, like, you want somebody to see the best you can do, whatever, because a professionally produced demo entails the engineer effectively directing you, as well as like sound effects and background stuff like that, to make it like it's pulled out of the medium effectively. And he had gone to my website. Nick Omana had gone to my website. I had talked to him about it, and he goes, "You got your demos. Your website's a little busy." He gave me awesome feedback that normally you'd have to pay for. You know what I mean? So that was like super cool. And he thought my demos were professionally produced, and I was like, "That's crazy." I know he's been in the business for 30 years, but he must be wrong. You know what I mean?
Or you're
That's
doing
where, like,
everything
imposter
right.
syndrome. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So like it was very validating. And he told me, he's like, "You got chops, kid." I'm like, "That's crazy."
That's the biggest compliment in the world.
Super cool, right? Yeah. Just from somebody who's been in the business for 30 years to say that to me was nuts.
That's so great.
So I'm just kind of diving in, and that's, you know what I mean? And thankfully Sylas wanted to take a shot with me, and I'm super excited about it.
I was just going to ask Marissa, having read all of Sylas's work, almost all of Sylas's work, and hearing Carlos's narrations, or the way he does his thing lives, match made in heaven?
Oh yeah, I am
We shall
so
see.
excited.
If I don't impress Sylas, I'm sorry, but if I don't impress Nisi and Marissa, I'm never gonna show my face
Nisi.
again.
So Sylas, you must be just like, I know sometimes you get quiet about these things, but you just must be like over the moon, hyped, pumped all up.
Yeah, I'm very excited to see this whole process and have it unfold. To work with Carlos and the street team, which Marissa is part of, and Nisi is the coordinator on it.
I'm part-time street team. I'm
Okay,
like
yeah, so you're
the inside operative.
Yeah. Because they gave all this feedback about who to select for the narrator and everything else. And Carlos has been a fantastic selection. He's going above and beyond, just making sure, even before the project gets started, that he's prepped to hit the ground running when
Love it.
the monies are there and we can actually get it started. So it's been really exciting. To see it come out, too, is nice because we think of audiobooks a lot of the times as something that people listen to who prefer to listen to audiobooks. But there are some people who have dyslexia and other things that prevent them from being able to read physical books or even ebooks. And one of the things about the Rise of Tribinius Cantus is it's very much organized around neurodivergency and the differences that we have. Tribinius himself does not have any of his limbs. And so respecting people who have differences, whether they be mental or physical or otherwise, is part of that whole process. So having an audiobook put together that allows people who cannot otherwise access the material to access it is also important to me.
I love it. That is so dope.
Yeah.
I'm excited for you. I'm excited for you both. I think it's phenomenal because it's such an evolutionary process. You know, the day you start writing a book, the only thing that's in your mind is get it done, get it published, right? But then after that, it's okay, write the sequel, write more stories, or work on getting an audiobook. There's a couple of different ways you can go about doing it. And I just, I love that evolution. Like, what's next after audio? You know, where can it go? What can happen? You know, because good narration can take a good book and make it phenomenal. You know what I mean? And I'm excited about that. So the next step.
I'm pretty hyped.
Yeah.
I'm on the hype train for sure.
Well, and Sylas is easy to work with, and you know,
absolutely, no,
he knows
Sylas
his characters really well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
I'm
yeah,
like super
Sylas,
appreciative.
You know, Carlos even went ahead and listened to my narration of Aunt. So he's already gone through all of that with that character and hearing how I voiced it when I did the audiobook for that. So really,
how did he do, Carlos? How did he do narrating?
I thought he did great, man. Like, I think my favorite character that he voiced was honestly like, and I hated the character, mind you. Like, I did not like the character because of who the character is, but it was his dad, An's dad. You know, your voice was so like perfect, I think, for that character, and I was like, this guy's such a piece of garbage. Like, you know, I'm like, oh.
Well, little side note, I channeled my own father for that one.
Yeah. The best way to act is to not act, right? For real. No, I mean...
Marissa,
no, I thought
sure,
it was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, Marissa.
Hi, Stormy. I know it's been a hot minute since I've done like frequent streaming, but something out in the ether told me I should get back to it, so I'm trying to do more. It's my New Year's resolution.
I love the pull of the interpersonal.
Yeah. You know, I'm the type of person that is more comfortable talking to other people about their stuff than I am talking about mine. So, like, I'm very comfortable in these types of environments.
I don't want to get.
And I love hearing people talk about themselves and talk about their work. I love it. So
take care, Jack.
That's why I'm always saying, you know, how excited I am, because you're living that moment that a lot of us wish we were at right now. You know what I mean? And for me, that's exciting to see. Okay, things will happen. Pumps me up. So,
you know who my favorite character to voice was Capo.
Yeah.
Because he just stays so calm and collected and has this philosophical tone to him.
That's really cool, too. He's definitely an interesting character.
Yeah. Well, you will see more of him in the upcoming stories. And the other part, we haven't formally talked about this, Carlos, but I think you're also excited to continue on with the series as we're able to make more audiobooks, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why I want to that's why I'm very appreciative of you, like, taking the time to be like, to listen to like voice reference samples that I just throw in on my phone so we can hammer down the voices and I can get feedback from you. Like, you're literally being my director when it comes to the character voices, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
Like, it's super cool. And I think that's going to help just consistency throughout the series. You know what I mean? No, it's going to be awesome. I'm definitely stoked.
I gave him a list,
So great.
Jeremy, of key characters. I'm like, these are the characters whose voices I care about. The rest of them are just... Because that's
Corbin
one
King's
of
in
the
the house.
challenges of narrating this book, actually, is this isn't a cast of 4. The main protagonist is 3 characters, really. It's Liv, Trib, and Ond. And you don't have one antagonist. You have 10 different antagonists. One for each runner of a corporation and the leader himself.
That's going to
So
be fun.
we're looking at 13 character voices there, and we haven't even begun to scratch the surface.
Carlos is
there
like,
are
oh
a
my god, what did I
lot
get
of
myself
character
into?
voices in this book.
Well, no, it's going to be great, man. I'm super stoked about this, like, legitimately. And I think this is going to, after the Ementhian, whenever we end up doing book 2 and like on from there, because I've debated with the fact that there is a large cast, I've debated on if I'm going to record it via a straight read through, or if I'm going to maybe work on it more in post and do like character days where I record lines like as if I'm on a production. You know what I mean? I think I'm going to do with the Ementhian at least. I think I'm going to do a straight read through because I feel like it would be less
the
of a
moment.
back end effect. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And I think
yeah.
that's how I normally like to do it, but I've not had such, like, the novella I did was several characters, but I think it was maybe 6 different ones, 6 distinct characters in the novella. So like across the series, it's going to be huge, and there's going to be so much like listening through for me, where I'm like, okay, this has to be different. This is different, right, Sylas? You can tell that, like, this character's different from this character, right? It's like, because eventually my ears are going to be like, hey, stupid, they sound the same. It's your voice, like.
Yeah.
So working with Sylas on that will definitely be, I think, tremendous.
Yeah, it
Well,
was
that
one of
helps
the
a
things
lot.
that we paid a lot of attention to was the range. When I gave the sample, I had everything from Ond, who's the youngest, but doesn't sound like he's the youngest, to Liv, to the mother, to Coach Zayas, to Trib, all in the one sample. So that really kind
Right.
of showed a range for us to be able to determine, can this person who we select hit all the different characters that are going to come up into the Tribinius story.
Well, real talk, Carlos. I'm not sure how much of the Ementhian you've read, but out of the Ementhian that you have read, which one do you think is going to be the hardest to narrate?
The hardest character to narrate?
Yeah. Maybe not harder, but more
Probably-
challenging than the others.
I'm wondering if his answer is going to match mine.
I'm going to say the leader.
The leader.
Okay.
Because I think I'll have to pay the most attention when I'm narrating that character specifically.
I would have thought you would have said Ond, but I can see why you
Ond
said
is-
leader.
Right?
For reasons we can't tell you because of
Correct.
spoilers. The leader
Correct.
is challenging.
Ond is also going to be a character where I'm like consistently paying attention as well. I just feel like there's a little less nuance to Ond as far as the character voice itself. Ond is going to be more paying attention to as long as the character voice is there for Ond, it's going to be paying attention to the delivery. Because I feel like on Ond's lines specifically, because he doesn't say nearly as much as the rest of the cast, I think how his lines are delivered is going to be extremely important.
Yeah.
Would you
He
be
has
able
this more
to
gangster
use?
style like pattern
Right.
of speech because he suffered brain damage.
would you be able to use Sylas's audio version of it as like a reference point, or do it your own way?
Yeah, and I also, along me and Sylas, we actually had like a wicked long conversation about Ond, like last week or the week before, I think.
Right.
And it was basically because he basically talked me through, gave me context for Ond. And then after that's when I listened to the audiobook. And all that context he gave me was what allowed me to come up with a voice that he said that's how it should be. You know what I mean?
I love it when everything comes together.
Yeah, like I said, I'm super happy that Sylas is so open and like willing to work with me and just be like almost it's his, so he's not really a consultant, but like you know what I mean, as far as like an advisor.
He's a producer,
right,
slash
being my
mid-range director. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's awesome.
Yeah, but
it's
I appreciate your level of communication. Because the
Absolutely.
last time I had an audiobook made by somebody, they took the book and then they presented me the final audio.
It's my whole gimmick, I guess you could say, is I'm about your passion. It's your art. I'm becoming part of your art with my art. You know what I mean? Like my whole thing is I want your passion to come through from voice to vision. That's where I'm at. And that's kind of what my whole gimmick is about, like the art and the passion of the client.
It's like having a good dev editor, somebody who really is dedicated to wanting to make your work as best as it can be. Yeah. Those types of but those types of connections are really important. We're just throwing some spotlight on the Ementhian audiobook narration and the Kickstarter event, which starts on the 15th. Everybody get their copy out. Everybody's got their copy out. There's a lot of people who are pretty...
Shoulder.
Yeah, right? Half of the side of your face. Just we only have a couple more weeks till the Kickstarter event. So I figured it'd be a good idea to, I know Sylas is doing a roundtable discussion on Saturday. Next Saturday, right?
No, 3 days from now.
This Saturday.
This coming Saturday, okay.
Yeah.
And then after that, it's Kickstarter time. So
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it'll be.
I'm just trying to help.
Not this
I'm just
Friday,
trying to
next.
help get the information out to as many people as I can. And
Absolutely.
sharing is caring, tapping is clapping.
For sure.
Summer, I hope your connection issues iron itself out.
Jeremy, shall I take a moment to tell the people who are new here what the story is about?
Yes, you can.
So the book that we're talking
this stream
about today,
is your stream.
Okay. The book that we're talking about today is The Ementhian, and it is the story of a bipolar 16-year-old who was born without his limbs and stands to inherit one of the largest corporations on Earth. But he discovers they're hiding an insidious secret and pledges to expose it to the light of day. This is the first book in a 10-book series that will be released one every 3 months for 3 years, and 3 books are already out, with all of 2025 actually ready to be published. So we're staying on track for that every 3 months. And we're doing, not this Friday, but the following Friday at, I think it was 5 o'clock Pacific? I forgot the time.
6 o'clock Pacific. I'm sorry, 6 o'clock Eastern. 3 o'clock Pacific.
Yeah.
Okay. 3 o'clock Pacific, 6 o'clock Eastern. A promotion of the Kickstarter event to raise the funds to get the Ementhian turned into an audiobook. So you'll be able to sign up to get a copy of the audiobook, and the first 5 books is an omnibus.
Yes, that's huge.
So that'll be a special offer that will only be available at that time.
It's a dream of most authors. I would even want to say all authors to get their book into an audiobook. It's like taking that next step. And, I'm super excited for you. I think that, we should knock it out of the park quickly. I know a bunch of people who are already ready to rock and roll. They wish we could do it tomorrow night, But if you're interested in anything involving notifications about the event, go to sylas.art/ks and click notify me on launch. we just want to get good stories out into readers' hands.
That's really what it's about, man.
It's what it's all about: connecting with people, enjoying each other's company, and getting our work into the right people's hands. And I missed doing these types of events. This will be the 5th fundraiser that I've done for Book Talk.
Oh, wow.
And I'm really excited. If we get Sylas's goal, we'll have raised $14,000 in 2 years. And that's just helping people with their editing fees and helping people with medical problems. I love doing these things. I want to see it succeed. I want to see him knock it out of the park quickly. I call it setting another record.
Right.
Jeremy is even going to shave his head if we hit the goal.
I'm shaving my head live if we hit the goal. We're not talking stretch goals here.
Much of an incentive.
No.
Gotta shave the beard off, right? No. Yeah. There's no amount of money that makes me get rid of my goatee. I'll shave my head bald though. I don't care.
You know, the thing too, we were talking earlier, Jeremy, about the rewards levels.
Yeah, let's hear about the tiers a little bit. Because I think anybody who's here who doesn't know anything about it will probably want to know what's going on.
Yeah, when you do Kickstarter, you select a level that you're going to fund it at. And for those who are going to be new to the series, maybe you haven't read the book at all, then it's $15 to get a signed copy of the Ementhian. That's the lowest entry point, other than just donating money, of course. So it's a really low level of entry. And to get the audiobook itself is only $25. So at a reasonable level of entry, you can actually get the audiobook, which is what the event is all about. If you go up a little bit more, you get the first 5 ebooks and the OND ebook for $40. If you want the physical books, you get the first 5 books plus OND for $100. And then the 5-book hardcover omnibus, plus all of the ebooks and the audiobook, is $125. We're getting up there, but you're getting a lot more stuff for it.
Screaming good deals.
And then, if you want all of that, plus naming a character, it shows up in one of books 5 on forward, which may require me refactoring a little bit because I've already written 5, 6, and 7.
Find and replace.
If you want to name a character, that's $250, and one maybe 2 people will have a chance to get a book dedicated to them, as well as name a character and get all of that stuff, and that is at $500.
And are all the books?
Talk about leaving your mark,
right? And are all the books signed?
Yeah, all of the paperback books are signed.
Now, the 5-book package deal, they're getting 2 books that haven't even been released yet, right?
Correct. Well, they'll be getting, let's see, this ends February 15th. So if they get the ebooks, they're getting them February, May, what is it? Oh, this was a trick question. I wasn't ready for it.
Good cover, Carlos. Good
1,
cover.
2, 3, 4, 5.
I like you already,
just seltzer.
man.
It's just seltzer.
But you never know.
5 is in May. They'll be getting 1 book in advance early.
Okay, right. Still, holy cow. That's amazing.
They'll be getting 1 book on the day of release and 1 book a month early, 3 months early.
Marissa, let me ask you a question since you're heavily involved in Sylas's work and Carlos's work. Let's see if I can phrase this right. What's the most important story that's being told in Sylas's work? Like, what's Sylas's main theme?
He doesn't sugarcoat Trib's bipolar. Like, he doesn't sugarcoat it and doesn't make it like, oh, it's blah, 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 blah. Like, he's for real about it. Like, he's totally honest about it. And there's a lot of people that will write about mental health rap and they, like, sugarcoat it.
You don't get it right.
Like, that's not what... I'm not bipolar. I can't speak on that. But I read several books that are about like depression and anxiety. They sugarcoat it. I'm like,
Okay.
that is not depression. That's masking.
Right.
But yeah, he doesn't sugarcoat it. He's brutal and honest about it, and it's beautiful.
Yeah, thank you.
That's one of the things that I've heard a lot of about your work, because I have not read the Ementhian. I have it. I think that in the book talk community, there's two different hobbies. There's reading and there's collecting. And my goal is to get my library back to 1,000, and it's all going to be 95% indie books.
That's awesome.
So I'm collecting. I don't have time to read. I'm writing all the time and hanging out with the Discord gang. You know what I mean? So I can't devote my time to reading at the moment other than my own stuff. So, you know, I appreciate what you do, Sylas. And even though I haven't had a chance to read it yet, I hear wonderful things. You know what I mean? Like the honesty of the characters, because Trib being bipolar, that almost makes him a second character in a lot of ways, doesn't it?
I think he's multifaceted.
In a weird sort of way, like.
Yeah, because the story is not about his bipolar. The story is about him trying to overcome these corporations who are enslaving something.
Right.
And the bipolar is just something that keeps getting in his way because that's who he is. It's very much not a characteristic of a hero. Heroes, you don't give issues and problems like that. But I really wanted to show that even the hero can be bipolar. Because it is not our limitations which define us. It is our strengths which we use to overcome our limitations which define us. And that is the message that the book delivers, is that you are okay as you are.
Preach. I was just going to say, Jesse, I appreciate the lightning bolts. Nice to meet you.
You got your attention.
My name is Jeremy, and these are my friends. We're all part of the writing community, the reading community, the narration community. And anybody who's coming in, we're just talking about Sylas's books. The more and more I hear about it, the more and more I hear that it's an important book. And you've obviously put a lot of time and love into it. So much respect.
Yeah, there's a lot of me in these too. When you hear, for those who don't know, Trib is bipolar, but so am I. So when you're hearing his thoughts, those are not his thoughts. They're not made up thoughts. Those are thoughts that I have had. And I'm using my own experience to put into those pages. So for me, a lot of these scenes are very intensely personal.
So on a scale of 1 to 10, how heavy is it?
How heavy is it?
You know, like heavy.
Okay, I'll say a conservative 8.
Okay.
And the reason being is it's YA. If it had not been written to be YA, I would have gone into more graphic elements.
Some of the vulgarity stuff and
Some of it to a greater degree of intensity. But I have to keep in mind that this is for a young adult audience. And so some things I summarize as opposed to show because I don't really want to take you that far.
Now, just out of curiosity, Sylas, did you choose the YA route just because Trib's introduced as a teenager? Or
honestly, yes.
Okay.
When I was conceiving of this whole thing, I wanted to have these corporations that were controlling the source of these vapors, and I needed to have somebody that was opposed to the corporations. Well, that would be an heir. Well, how old did I want the heir to be? And I didn't want them to be too old that they've asked the questions already and got the answers. So it needed to be a point where they were still learning about how the corporations worked and discovered stuff. And that made him about 16. And then I went, that's interesting. That means I'm writing an adult. And so I have never written young adult before and was very nervous. I actually had a 15-year-old read part of the Ementhian and give me feedback. I'm like, do 15-year-olds talk like this? Because it's been a while since I've been 15. And he came back and gave a stamp of approval. So that was comforting to know.
That's awesome.
Perfect.
But yeah, it kind of came about just because of the nature of the story. And I ended up selecting that he needed to be 16.
What's up,
An
Artie?
interesting little fact. I almost cut on out of the story.
Marissa would have been
Because I
so
saw
mad.
him as a third wheel. I saw him as a third wheel, and I wasn't sure, like, am I going to be just dragging this guy around and saying, oh, he's got something to do now? Or am I going to be able to make him a active part of the story?
Right.
And I decided if I took him out, it would just be a couples situation. It wouldn't be a trio dynamic. And I wanted that trio dynamic there and that I could work with it. And I'm glad I made that decision, and so is Marissa.
Like I said, love it when a plan comes together.
Yeah.
Just to anybody who's coming in, KJ, hi, how are you? We're
Yeah,
just
if you had
kinda
mixed
celebrating-
Bond, I might have been very angry with you.
We're just kind of celebrating the narration.
You might have
of
gotten
the
some
Ementhian.
messages like I gave Jenny Allen last night.
I saw that post. Oh my god.
I actually
I
have a
love to know
question for you,
things.
Sylas, if that's all right.
Yeah.
What is the name of the ancient language?
Oh,
It doesn't have a name.
Okay.
It is
I really
known
like it, and I
as-
hope there's more of it.
Oh, I have a dictionary of the ancient language. It is the language of the vapors to some. It is the ancient language to others. The truth is, and this is never written anywhere in the story, so you're kind of getting an exclusive for this. It's in the language of God, because the medallions were created by God's magic. And so they have that ancient writing on there. It's the only possible answer it could be.
Sick.
so there's some
I really like
there's
it.
some cool lore in there as well, huh? Hi, Kristen.
Yeah.
Hi, Mel.
I'm a wicked lore nerd, so I can't wait to like
Oh, I love lore.
get
Oh,
through all
man.
of these, like just to be able to like lore master them. Like I'm a wicked lore nerd. If I'm into something, I will dive into it and then consume as much as I can about it, just so I can talk about it.
More here than ever
effectively.
gets exposed in the books. Actually,
No, I'm gonna be like, so you want to send me mail me a binder. Just mail me a binder. I'll mail it back. That's fine.
One of the things you'll come to learn about me over time is I like to hype people and talk about people, especially when I believe it's important work. And I believe that what Sylas does is important work. And I want to see his Kickstarter go off without a hitch and really like go above and beyond. Carlos has been super integral in that. And I just wanted to get everybody together and just hang out for a little bit and celebrate Sylas and Carlos's upcoming narration and helping another indie author see a dream come true. That's just good stuff to me. You know what I mean? A rising tide lifts all ships. And
Absolutely.
it's for me, it's always been about the people and trying to be part of something that's bigger than I am. So I enjoy these types of things. To me, it's like getting the gang together and going out and playing pool. So
Hell yeah.
support Sylas, follow him if you're not. Support Carlos, follow Marissa. Marissa is a devout devourer of words.
It's
300
kind of
and-
insane.
330 books in the year 2024.
Hashtag beast mode for sure.
Hashtag beast mode. I like recognizing people, so I open up my little door and I say, let's hang out and talk about your stuff and put the spotlight on you. And if you have any questions for anybody, feel free.
if you are interested in hearing Carlos narrate the audiobook for the Ementhian, go to sylas.art/ks for Kickstarter and click on the notify me on launch button, because that'll take you to the Kickstarter page. Carlos is going to be the narrator for the first book in my series, The Ementhian.
Cool,
And
man.
2 days 2 days after the Kickstarter goes live, we'll be doing a live event on my channel to raise the money to see that it's financed as quick as possible.
Okay, so you ready for the backstory that's not included in the book?
Yes.
Now, this is a little bit of a spoiler, but not a bad spoiler. When God created humankind, he was so proud of himself that he decided to look forward in time and see where it all went. But not even God can look forward in time. And when he did, he was split into 9 pieces that fell to earth and were buried. Those 9 pieces brought the 9 vapors of magic to earth. And people were born with the ability to harness certain vapors. Not all of them, but some of them. One person in all of time has been born with the power to harness all 9 vapors. And he used that power to hunt down pieces of God, and he built great cities on top of each one for each vapor. His name was Alexander Reyes, and the world rose up against him because it did not want one leader, and toppled him. It was left to his 9 daughters to rule the corporations and to run them. 1,153 years later, the Ementhian begins.
Mic drop. Good stuff.
Sylas, I got a phone call, so you might have already explained this earlier when Carlos was talking about the ancient language. And I've already asked you this question, so I know the answer, but other people who may hop on the Ementhian train, how do you speak the ancient language? Because in my brain it's blah, 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 blah.
Gibberish.
Ironically enough, the ancient language is written in the book. It looks like gibberish. However, if you know the International Phonetic Alphabet, you will be able to pronounce all of the words in that in the ancient language, because the ancient language uses the International Phonetic Alphabet to do the pronunciations of things. So that's where it's all hidden from. It doesn't actually make English words when you pronounce them. It makes non-English words, but they all have a syntactical structure that they're put together.
We're going to get a sample.
Do you want me to say the lines, the Trib's lines?
Oh, do you have
I have
In the
what you sent
language?
me. Yeah, in the ancient language.
Oh, do it. Hell yeah.
I have it in front of me on our Discord message.
Go ahead. I found it.
You sure?
You can go ahead, yeah.
Sweet. An exclusive sneak peek.
Oh, and then I'll figure out what the translation is. While you're doing that.
Oh yeah, I didn't think about that part. we can hold up for that part if you want.
I got it.
All right. Voa huent thoer asunt voa tura thoer traius thoer tura.
From what exists
Wow.
comes the new existence. From power comes life. Live and become power. That's
That
what
was so
translates
dope.
to.
That sounds
Thank
better
you for that.
the
Thank
way
you for
you
that.
said that than the way my brain said it.
It's very much an incantation, yeah?
Yes. Well, you heard what the translation was, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does everybody know the scene?
No,
No, I
I'm
go-
not sure
I go
where-
into
I'm not sure
everything.
actually where that comes from myself.
I
It's
was going to say,
the,
I go into everything blind.
It's the scene where Trib is trapping a vapor.
Oh, I put all of that in there? I knew where
Yeah.
Cox and them came from. Okay.
The incantation is Trib saying it to trap the
Oh.
vapor. Wait, he
Okay.
can't. I literally just read it last night. That's why it's like fresh.
I believe you. I read it like 6 months ago
Yeah.
or more.
Right. He forgot about the medallion. He doesn't have it out, and he says the words
You forgot
because he
about
had
the
committed
medallion?
it to memory. He had it like in a pocket or in a pocket of his invest, I think.
I think you're thinking of a different statement because that statement translates to from what exists comes a new existence. From power comes life. live
Oh,
and
shit,
become
maybe.
power. That
Maybe
one would
I
be
just-
Ementhian uint veni. Ementhian becomes seen.
This is funny. We're having a conversation about my ancient made-up language. Hey, you know.
That's what it's all about.
Mel said it's when he traps it for Petrie.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's got
Yep.
she's got spell check on, so she always writes Petrie, which we crack a joke about.
Oh,
The land before
it's
time.
Petey, right? It's
It's
Petey,
Petey.
right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, it's Petey.
Is Littlefoot coming? I love that movie.
So
wanted to say
it's
thanks to
actually kind
everybody
of
who's
fun when
coming
I
in.
make up a new saying, because now I'm in book 8, and sometimes I have to make up new spells. And I'll write out the spell, and then I'll look in my current translations. I don't generally have to come up with new words for the vocabulary. I can just use the vocabulary words that are already there, with a few little tweaks. But yeah, I can formulate the words and everything from what I have.
How many words do you think you have created? Roundabout. Any idea?
Well, some of them are suffixes and prefixes.
Okay.
So let me just figure that out real fast.
I wasn't trying to put you on the spot.
Oh, put him on the
You could have said
spot.
1,000 and I would have believed you.
Oh, it's not my style. I won't tell you what they all are because some of them are spoilers.
Fair?
I know things other people don't know.
Yeah.
I was going to say, you have an inside scoop to everything, don't you, Marissa? You're an ARC reader, aren't you?
Okay, believe it or not, there are only 39 words. Now, there's suffixes and prefixes, nouns and verbs, and that's how I've classified them. But there's only 39 words in the language, but I can combine them to make a number of different words.
Yeah, for sure. That's awesome. Language is dope in general. Like, super fun stuff.
I like to
I love
say
that
words
stuff.
are hard, but oh man,
They are.
the power of words is
Indeed.
amazing.
Yep. Indeed.
Well,
And
if
that's what I love about authors, man. Like, you guys are the myth makers of our time. Like, legit, you know what I mean? Like, we don't have the oral stories over the campfire anymore. We have the book by the fireplace.
Oh, I appreciate that. Yeah, hell yeah.
You know what I mean? You guys
That's
are
a
the
cool
myth
way to
makers
look
of our
at it.
time. It's very respectable. I respect you guys so much.
I've had this
Pulling stories from the ether.
I've had these conversations with Marissa. It's never been about publishing books. It's always been about telling a story. I just want to tell my story. I want to do it the best I can, do it the best service I can, and hope that people enjoy it. And
Absolutely.
that's it. There's nothing else.
And there are 32 phrases used in the book. I looked that up too.
Nice. In the Ementhian specifically, or throughout all the ones written so
All
far?
8 books so far.
Cool. Very cool. After book 10 is out and all done, there should be like a... Gosh.
It's called Jar
Like
of
a,
Rays. It's a spoiler book. And it will contain the language,
Yeah.
all that
Yes.
stuff in there.
Yes. That's
Yeah.
going to be sick.
So,
That's gonna
Carlos,
be awesome.
this is kind of a two-part, one-part question. Do you have anything in the pipeline other than the Ementhian, and can you talk about them? I know if
so
you're under
currently-
contract or anything.
No,
I like to.
No NDAs or anything at the moment. Audiobook wise, I am doing the male POV for Tammy Weiss's novel Beyond Tomorrow, which is it's a small feature next to the fantastic Tegan Bork, who I'm like stoked to be even narrating with. It's a YA dystopian fantasy, and it's super cool. It has a cool magic system. That's a short narration. I want to say it's more like, it's not like POV chapters, it's more like POV sections.
Okay.
But that should be fun, I think. And Tammy's awesome. I had a long conversation with her the other day. She's super cool. That's the only other audiobook thing I have going on.
Have you ever dipped your toes into the writing world?
Into writing, I've been a writer my whole life. Like as far as
Yep.
like I used to write. Poetry was big when it was a big coping mechanism for me when I was a teenager.
Me too, my friend. Me too.
I started a book when I was in Iraq, like on a little, I don't remember what they're called, a tiny little laptop. It was like just for surfing the web, but I managed to get WordPad on it, and that's how I started writing what I wanted to be a YA fantasy novel, and then just over the next 10 years got world builder's disease and just eventually stopped. Just because I'm like, maybe I should just play D&D or something, because this is the part I really like. You know?
Well, first, the second I find out about something like that, I thank you for your service.
Oh, yeah. No worries there.
Yeah, I have huge respect. David says the tough book. Is it the Ementhian that you're saying is a tough book? Because I hear it's pretty rough. I hear it's rugged.
Yeah, I'll tell you.
It hits you in all the emotional feels in all the right places.
No, it wasn't a tough book. I know what you're talking about. It wasn't military issue. It was just a little. I actually borrowed it from my battle buddy. It was just like a little Sony something or other. I don't even know what it was. This was in 2010. So God knows. But yeah, it was just something we did. I was doing in between missions aside from reading. Because downtime was basically consumed with books for me.
So, Sylas, here's a potential wordy dirt question, right?
Okay.
What has been the most fulfilling part of your bookish journey? Bookish is the umbrella. That's a narration, art, writing, bookish. What's been the most fulfilling part of it?
When people have read it who are bipolar and they say, I feel represented.
Okay.
That's been really touching because it's very rare for there to be a bipolar character. And usually they're treated more along the lines of somebody who's like an out of control freak. And that's not the case, you know?
Gotcha.
And so they get to feel represented instead of abused.
Heard. That's a good answer. Was there any point, like during the world building and the character creation stuff, was there ever a point where you weren't going to use Trib being bipolar? Or was that concrete from the get-go? There was no other way.
I'm well known for the statement, when you get to a challenge, just blow something up. Like, just make it horrible, twist it, jack it up, you know, screw it up in some way. How can I make his life really hard so he doesn't seem like a hero character? I'm like, I'm going to give him a mental difference. I'm like, ooh, but which one? It's so hard to do that and make him represented. And a friend of mine said, dude, you write what you know. You're bipolar. Write that. I was like, do you have any idea how personal that's going to be? And he's like, yeah, you got to do it. And then I'm like, fine, but there's got to be something else wrong with him. So I took away his limbs too.
Delivery.
That's the most epic delivery all day.
I wanted him to have to like face all these challenges, and then at the end of the series, I don't think this is too much of a spoiler, but people who are bipolar oftentimes feel like they need to be fixed. And that's Trib's request at the end of the series is fix me. And I wanted to have an answer for them. So that's been part of the driving thing. Even though the story isn't about his bipolar, that's a secondary plot line that's very heavily woven into the story.
Fascinating.
So I never debated on not having that as an aspect.
Right,
I wanted his life not to be practically perfect in every way, so I made him have challenges.
Carlos, same question.
Yes.
What has been the most fulfilling part of your bookish journey?
Honestly,
Yeah.
like I've spent the last 15 years in corporate America, right? Like office job. I'm in finance in my day job. it's soul sucking for me.
Yeah.
And so there's been a hole in my chest that's been unfilled by, like, it is very fulfilling being a father and a husband. I don't want to minimize that. But there's just an aspect to me that's always been driven by creative things. And not pursuing that has left a sizable hole in my chest. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
allowing myself to pursue audiobook narration and voice acting in general was like opening a window in a stuffy room for me. It was just like, this is what breathing is.
Right.
And it just felt it's super fulfilling. Even just auditioning for things was super fulfilling for me. You know, just on a creative level. And that's been the extent of my bookish journey thus far. Is I'm happy to be here. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Marissa, same question. What's been the most fulfilling part of your bookish journey? Because yours is just you have a split. You know,
It's chaos.
it's the full-time readership and the full-time writing. You know what I mean? Plus everything else in between.
For me, it's honestly making friends in the different areas of writing and reading. I have made so many friends that are amazing authors. I've met some amazing narrators that I would have never heard of, ever.
Preach. Yeah.
And I've found amazing authors that I talk to daily. There's some that I don't talk to every day, but I talk to them about every other day. And like, it blows kids' minds at my job. They're like, you talk to people who write books? And I'm like, yeah.
Every day.
I read 300 plus books a year, so I have friends that are authors, and they're like, oh, that's so cool. And I'm like, you should try it. If you like this, you should try this book. And like, my wide genre of reading helps me find connections with these kids with books that I read as a kid, and some books that I didn't read as a kid that I've read as an adult that I think they would like. Derek Bourne, his Dino Riff series is in our school library because I was like, hey, Derek, I want to put these in our school library. How much do I need to send you so you can send it to me from Canada? Yes, I know it's not Canada. That's just what I call it. And like, becoming such close friends with so many authors inspired me to write. On top of that, my first semester back in college as an adult, I had to take Comp 2, which I hated, by the way, because I don't like being told what I have to write. I want to write what I want to write. And my instructor was like, have you ever thought about, publishing a book? She's like, you mentioned that you're an avid reader, but have you ever thought about publishing a book? It took me a whole year before I was like, you know what, I'm going to do this. And it is currently with my editors. I'm
Phenomenal.
just waiting on that to get back.
Oh yeah.
Well, Sylas, I have one of the things I like to do is I like to kind of pay attention to some of the hot takes that go around in the book talk drama community. You know what I mean?
Okay.
This is a hot take that's been around for a while. It's just a statement, and then it's open to discussion. There are too many adults reading YA.
Yeah, what's the penalty? We read what we want to read in order to enjoy the books that we want to enjoy. There's nothing that's going to hurt you by reading a YA book. It doesn't mean that you are dumbing down either, because I use an extensive vocabulary when I'm writing the Trib series. I don't use
Tell
them.
me about it.
I just had somebody who messaged me and said, "Oh, I learned a new word from you today, from reading one of my YA books." I don't remember what the word was, but you involve them in there and they can grow, and the character development and everything is richer. The difference between YA and not YA is either subject matter and content. So it's either the nature of the content or its subject matter that makes it non YA, or it's the excessive use of extended vocabulary that people will use in there, like the purple prose and whatnot that's in there. But reading a YA book is not in any way dumbing down things. It's just choosing to enjoy what you want to enjoy. And people who read YA books, even if they're YA, like young adults, don't always read YA books. They read quite a few other books. It's just some of them happen to be young adult and they enjoy that.
It's a good answer. I'm guessing, Marissa, you're in the same boat. Yeah, I'm guessing Carlos is as well.
Yeah, I said in my spiel earlier, I read across all genres. I read YA to the darkest, smuttiest romance that I can find. So I read all of the things, and I don't like being told what I have to write, and B, I don't like being told what I have to
What
read.
you have to read. Yep. So how do you feel about school libraries and school curriculum only really discussing the classics as opposed to, introducing more independent authors into, so much can be learned.
I can see why they do it. They do it because the classics are known and studied. There's plenty of research that's done on them that tells you this is the subject matter that you can teach from in these books because they're just so well known. Whereas you would have to do all that additional research and stuff if you wanted to recommend like an indie author book or even a more modern book, like a traditionally published modern book. They'd have to research that and find out more and figure out, does this teach blah, blah, blah material? And if so, what are the key aspects of it? And identify all of that. The work's already been done, so they're being in a way lazy, but teachers already have so much on their plate that I dare not call a single teacher lazy.
Got you. Carlos, do you think that it would be difficult to work on numerous projects at the same time? Like, is that too much information to retain? And
I don't. Obviously, everyone has their limit. You know what I mean? I wouldn't take on 15 audiobooks in a month. You know what I mean?
Right.
The reason I'm even taking on an additional one is because it's such a small amount of male POV.
Yeah. But like coming down the pipeline, future projects.
Yeah, I mean, I would. It's you got to schedule yourself. Is what it comes down to. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's just a balance. I don't think it's hard getting into the space because at least for me anyway, I have ADHD, and so when I find the dopamine, I chase the dopamine, and especially if it's something I'm interested in, it doesn't matter if I'm also interested in this other thing that's over here. If I have this thing that's interesting in front of me, I can hyper focus on that, and it takes me into the appropriate space mentally.
Hi, Brittany. Yeah, good stuff. Like I said, I ask a lot of questions, and if I'm ever rambling or sound like an idiot, just rein me in and let me know.
I do that all the time. You should hear me in my booth when listen. No worries.
Outside of TikTok lives, Carlos, how do you connect with your audiences and promote your stuff outside of this platform?
Mostly direct marketing, and I'm on I make my videos on TikTok or whatever. I also have my Instagram, and I'm pretty much on all the things. Right now.
Yeah. You're easy to find.
Wise.
You're easy to find.
Yeah, everything's just C Antonio VO.
Awesome.
But I have my website, and it's just I like talking to people about stuff. I end up finding myself in TikTok lives all the time, whether it's just in the chat, lurking, or coming up and talking to people.
Yeah, I've been trying to mix it up
a little bit.
That's weird. I can only cite 6 of them. Oh no! I forgot to do a kids book. I made a middle grade book called Amio.
And Ond is forever free, right?
Pardon?
Is Ond free?
Ond is free in ebook form, and so is the Ementhian.
Oh, that's right. The Ementhian is too.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Good stuff.
Well, Marissa, enjoy your journey through the Pure Impurity universe.
Good to
Mel
see
says
you.
you will love it, but she was so mad at me when she finished reading the book, the first book. She only read book 1, Ardor. Oh, she read Audio first. Okay. That's a middle grade one. Even your kids can read that, depending on their age.
So anybody who's
Almost
popping in that
14,
didn't know,
12, and 11.
Okay, the 14-year-old might be a little bored with it. It's a little short. But the 12 and 11 will enjoy it. I mean, the first chapter's name is Boogers.
give her a cute one before the soul brushing one.
Mel, last night I finished a book that's not even out yet because I was beta reading it. That I was like sitting here ugly crying and shaking because I was so mad. It took me 15 minutes to type, "You did not do what I think you just did," to Jenny Allen. And she did do what I thought she just did. And I was not happy about it.
Well, Marissa, now that I got you here, have you ever thrown a book before because of an emotion?
Yeah.
Sylas, have
Yeah.
you ever thrown a book?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, but
While
it was when
reading
I
it?
was upset and I was going to read no more of that book. I
Okay.
wasn't throwing it because I liked the book and I couldn't believe what they did. It was book 9 of the Wheel of Time series. And I threw that book across the room and said, I don't give a shit what happens to Randall freaking Thor.
Love it. Perfect. I have never thrown a book, ever. Carlos, have you ever thrown a book?
I have not.
No, I didn't think so.
Nothing
Marissa.
happened in that book. All they did was move armies around. And I stopped reading the series at that point until I figured out that Brandon Sanderson finished the series.
Yep.
Because Brandon was my favorite author, and whatever his name was, I was not very pleased with. So I wanted to see how somebody I didn't like the style of writing, how it got finished by somebody who I did like the style of writing. So I read that and that was instructive, but I still didn't like the story.
David says he's thrown a book.
Yeah.
Jacob told me he threw a book. Addie's thrown numerous books.
I've had people tell me that they've thrown my book.
Badge of honor.
Yeah.
I've been told that too. Feels good. Marissa, I've read 9 books already. Oh my God. All right. So Marissa, this question is for you. This or that, dog ear a page or break the spine of every book you read?
Oh, Jeremy, you're going to crush my soul.
Oh, I know, right? Dog ear pages or break the
If I
spine
have
of
to
every book
choose
you read?
Dog ear, I can't break the
Yeah.
spines. I can't do it.
Especially because it's worded every book you read.
Yeah, nope, can't do it. I have a friend that purposely sends me videos of her cracking the spines on books because she knows it. Yeah, no.
Is anybody still doing like going and browsing used old bookstores, or is everything done online now? Because we have a lot of small little library type nooks and crannies and used bookstores around me, and sometimes you find all kinds of fascinating stuff. But do you prefer having it delivered right to the house?
I like going to old bookstores or they're not old bookstores, but the bookstores have old books in them, like the used bookstores. And you can find some stuff that's like hundreds of years old that everybody's forgotten about, and they're fascinating.
Yeah. All right, Sylas, this is a this or that question.
Uh-oh.
Hilarious banter or emotional ruin?
Hilarious banter, because I don't laugh enough.
That's a good answer. Yeah. Marissa, you like to be ruined, don't you?
Give me all the emotional damage. But I also love really good banter. But yeah, give me all the emotional damage.
Ruin me. Yes. Ruination. I love it. David, you can find all kinds of great books at those bins. I see them in my grocery store. I'm always diving in. Ruin me. That's a good answer, T. All right, Carlos. This or that. Always have to read by flashlight or always read by flickering overhead lights?
Flashlight, preferably.
Flashlight.
Flash.
For the win.
Unless it was candle, I could probably deal with candlelight. But like a flickering overhead fluorescent bulb, I would go insane.
Nope. Yep.
Yeah, that would make me upset too.
That would make me very upset. All right, Sylas. What does bookish success look like to you?
Bookish success?
Or have you already achieved that success, so you're living it?
I want to say that this is a twofold answer.
Do it.
Because there's success in that my books reach people and impact their life in a better way.
Yeah.
Which has happened already multiple times. And then there's success in terms of, you know, you can quit your day job and you're good to go. Haven't achieved that yet.
Sure.
But they're two different things. I don't think they can compete with each other.
Yeah, I mean, I've always said that I've never really done this for the revenue. I've always just wanted to share my story.
Yeah, it's not my strongest
so
motivation. I would like to make some money from it, but
of course,
at least enough to pay for what it cost me would be nice. But I'm happy with the first level of success, not necessarily the financial, but the financial success would be really nice.
Same question, Carlos. What does a bookish success look like to you?
I think as Sylas said, there's definitely, it's a multifaceted answer.
Yeah.
Like the pinnacle of it would be to be able to tell wonderful stories and also do that as a full-time, like for my full-time income. That's the dream, right?
Right.
Whether that be through audiobooks or through characters in animation or video games or what have you. But I think as far as I will consider my first level of success, having produced the full-length audiobook for the Ementhian. That'll be my first level of success because that will be my first full-length audiobook.
Yeah. That's good stuff. Sylas, I'm only going to hit you with one more question, then I'm going to leave it up to the comment section if they have anything for you, because I'm a firm believer that the Kickstarter event that's coming down the pipeline is an important event, because I believe that you getting this into audio is important. So it's something that I believe in. And if anybody has any questions for you, just throw them down in the comment section. Kickstarter event, not tomorrow, but next Friday. We're going to try to fund the Kickstarter for Sylas's Ementhian audiobook, which is being narrated by Carlos. And we're all super excited for it. So, Sylas, what do you do to recharge, creatively speaking?
Okay, so this is kind of like a twofold answer too,
I love it. Do it.
because I'm bipolar. So sometimes, like right now, I'm actually starting to come down from a manic episode, which is really nice. Um, During those episodes, I can't really do anything. So it's a matter of just kind of like living through life when I'm having challenging times. But when it comes to, and this is the second part of the answer, um, like day to day, just kind of recharge. I love writing. I love telling these stories, and I just punch them out and get them going. And I get stuck every now and then. I gotta like figure out how I'm gonna get through this one. But
Hmm.
I don't have to like recharge to have that energy to get there. I just have so much fun doing it.
Right. So there's no writing blocks where you got to take a break and try to teach yourself how to play piano or something, you know?
No, it's for me. I don't get writer's block, but I tell people that the answer to writer's block is to write crap. Um, just sit down and start writing. The chicken wrapper was on the floor, and then you're like, okay, in my world there are no chicken wrappers, so what was on the floor? And then you start getting into what else is not on the floor because they're on a spaceship, and then you keep editing it, and then you start coming up with something because you get your creative mind going.
Yeah. Right on.
So for me, that part is I'll just write crap. I follow my own advice, um, and keep going. You know, at it. Now sometimes because I like to write where I write my characters into an impossible situation. So for example, Trib is falling out of a building. He's got about 5 seconds before he hits the ground. He's holding on to Ond. He's out of vapor, and there's nobody else around him that can survive or save him. How does he get out of this one? Once
Yeah.
I've locked myself into, like, painted myself into a corner, that's when I kind of dig myself out. And then I figure out, oh, he's got a Titan pack on him. He can whip that out, get some vapor, and then be good to go. We got a solution. But I like writing it that way because if I don't know how they're going to get out of the situation, the reader doesn't know how they're going to get out of the situation.
It's true.
And then I have to figure it out. So I'll get stuck sometimes where I have to, okay, how are we going to get out of this one? But that's kind of planned.
Marissa, I don't even know if I want to ask you how you recharge. It's probably just as
Read another
chaotic
book.
as not.
Reading.
Yeah. Read
Reading.
more books.
How do you recharge, Carlos? Like, do you actually have to like just take a break and just walk away from it all?
I normally don't. Not yet, anyway.
Yeah.
There's just too much going on all the time. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Right.
My break from VO is the daily family stuff. You know,
This is
like we're
true.
going to Disney on Ice this weekend. That'll be fun.
Oh, I hope you have fun. I've never been to
Me
Disney.
too. It's Disney on Ice, so it's not
Oh, yeah, that's right.
like the
Yeah,
theme
yeah.
park. Yeah, no, but I'm super hyped for it because I remember
state are
a
you
couple
in?
years ago. I'm in New Hampshire, so it's going to be at
Oh, I'm
the
in Maine.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, we're
Yeah, it's
neighbors.
going to be. I think it's going to be in Manchester. But we went to like Marvel. It wasn't Marvel on Ice. It was something similar, but there was no ice, but they were doing like backflips on motorcycles. It was like the best money I had ever spent in my entire life for like the nerd side of me. And my kids loved it. It was awesome. But no, it should be fun because my youngest loves Disney. Loves all those characters. He's a little theater kid in his own right.
Yeah. I'm excited for you guys. All right, I'm probably going to be wrapping it up in a couple of minutes. Work day comes early. But I do want to ask just, I like to do these things sometimes. So Sylas, all honesty, what is one thing you wish more people knew or understood about your bookish journey? That could be writing, reading, reviewing, narrating, because I'm going to go right around the circle.
I think sometimes because I talk very confidently, the people think that I'm more than I am. I'm just another guy who's writing, just like everybody else. Um, and I'm happy to share things with you, but I don't see myself as any better than or less than anyone else. We're all in this together on a different aspect of the journey as we go along.
Good stuff. What's one thing you wish people knew more about your journey, Carlos?
That all it takes is giving yourself permission to do it.
I hear that a lot.
That first step, you just have to give yourself permission to pursue it. Like it's almost making me tearful right now because that's how liberating that was. You know what I mean?
Living unapologetically and jumping in.
Socrates would say, "Following the diamond."
Good stuff.
The pull of the interpersonal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Me too. Thank you guys for having me on here.
Marissa, how about you? What's one thing you wish people knew more about your journey? Or understood about your journey?
It's not easy at all. I am juggling a lot of things, and like people think I handle things oh so well, but they don't see the breakdowns I have because I am a wife, a mother, a para. I'm a student. I want to teach. And like all of that takes up my time, but yet I still make time to read because that's something for me. And writing is something for me. Not to mention 3 of my 4 children are neurodivergent. I'm neurodivergent myself, and so is my husband. So we have one neurotypical child in this house, and that's it. So I might portray this. It's like a duck on water. I'm calm on top, but my feet are going a million miles an hour.
Now, when you reach those points where it's just way too much, do you like start denying ARC reads and beta reads and questions from people? You just kind of push them all aside and say, I'm not going to half-ass 2 things. I'm going to whole-ass 1 thing for a while. You know? Okay.
And I'm brutally honest with the authors about it. Like, the last ARC read I had to turn down, I was like, hey, I love you and I appreciate you letting me be on your ARC team, but I need to take a step back right now. I have a lot of things going on. And I was like, I don't want to let my emotions affect my enjoyment of this book.
Sure.
Because I know I'm going to love it, but right now I wouldn't retain it and I couldn't give you the review you deserve. And like they were like, it's cool. I'll still send it to you. Just read it whenever. And I'm like, no, don't do that. Don't do that. They still did it anyway.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I want to give the best review I can, and like I'm honest without being hateful, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because there are books that are not for me, and like that's okay. Because there's other books out there that I will immediately enjoy or obsessively read 8 times because I enjoy emotional damage. but yeah, like, and I'm very open and honest with the authors that I work with. I'm like, hey, I've got a lot going. Like, I'm taking full-time credit hours. I've been taking full-time credit hours for a year and a half now, with 4 kids and working full-time and a husband who works all kinds of crazy hours. So hi, child, I love you. That is my reader. But I like the authors that I work with love that I'm open and honest about it. I'm like, hey, I can't. I just don't have the spoons right now. And they're like, oh, it's fine. And I'm like, no, it's not fine. Like, I feel like
Right.
I'm letting them down, but they're like, no, you are more important. So
But you know your
I love that I
thresholds,
built
though,
that
when you're getting
friendship.
ready to push
Yeah.
them. Yeah. Good stuff. I just wanted to say that, Sylas, I respect you a whole bunch. Anytime I've ever had a question for you, you've always been very receptive and very open and honest and a little brutal sometimes, but hey, that's the way it rolls. I'm really looking forward to seeing all this come to fruition, and I'm happy for you. And I think you need to get all the recognition that you deserve. And, I got your back.
Thank you for doing this. I really appreciate it.
We got more stuff to come. I don't know if I'm going to be able to attend the roundtable thing because I think I might have some things going on that weekend.
Okay.
A friend of mine is in a pickle, and I don't know exactly what's going to come from that, and I need to be there for her and all the things. So I've made myself readily available just in case, because she may need a place to crash for a couple of nights. So I don't know. We'll bridges to cross, but yeah. Sylas's Kickstarter for the audiobook for the Ementhian goes live on the 15th. Sylas.art/KS. Go check it out to be notified. And then the Kickstarter to raise the money to get this thing funded and get it into an audiobook is the 17th here at 6 p.m. Eastern. Anybody who wants to support a fellow indie author who I believe at this point deserves to have an audiobook done, because I believe it to be important work. And there's a lot of audio readers out there. So just keep pursuing the good. And much love to you all. Thanks for hanging out with me tonight and letting me beat you up with questions and learning a little bit more about you.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, I think more of these things should happen as dates approach. But yeah, if you ever get bored, let me know.
Okay, sounds
Rock and
good.
roll. Thanks for having us.
Have a
Catch you
good night,
soon,
y'all.
Jeremy.
See you soon.
Bye.